Hi everyone, it's Zara Altair with the Midweek Zap, and my guest today is Evon Hyman, and we're going to have fun. We're going to talk about your WordPress site and Google and getting them connected and getting them connected the right way. So Evon, it's great to have you here, and you're so much fun. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi everybody, and thanks Sarah for having me. My name is Evon Hyman. My business is called Ask Evie, and I'm somewhat of a technician. So I help people connect all of their online outlets, get their website running right, and all of that. So if you want to figure out what to post, you're going to have to call somebody else. I'm just the one who makes it happen.
With a lot of sparkle and zest, that's for sure. And I want to welcome our audience, all the Zapsters out there. It's so great to see some regulars, and it's great to see some new people. So welcome everyone. And I hope you're all snuggled in with your food. There's been a lot of food talk going on. So, Evie, I thought we'd start out with, what's the #1 thing a business should think about when connecting WordPress site with Google?
The first thing, especially as a brick and mortar store, get your Google Plus set up as a page. Make sure if you're a brick and mortar store, set it up as a local page. And then the most important thing is connecting these two. So make sure you get your publisher markup set and your authorship markup. Everybody probably has heard it. I know, Zara, you tried to do it a little while back and ran into issues following Google's instructions. It can be really easy setting that up. I'm using a plugin on WordPress called SEO by Yoast. It's one of 2 widely known SEO plugins, but what they also do is they allow you to plug in your Google Plus name/ID. With that, giving them your Google Plus information of your page or your profile, they will put in this markup that Google wants you to have on your site. So the snippet that they tell you to take it and put it on your site, you don't have to do it. Yoast is taking care of that for you. From there on, go into Google Analytics, set up your account. It's pretty easy following the steps. If not, just call somebody. It's done within 5 minutes. Take that and also verify it in your webmaster tools. Give it 5 minutes, say verify on your page that the website is verified, and it's done. It's that simple. But it also took me a couple tries to figure that out myself. Trying to follow Google's instructions on that one is a pain in the booty.
Yeah, I know with the authorship for me, it took, I followed Google's instructions, and it took a very long time. And it's really wonderful to hear about something that just makes all that happen for you. And then could you explain a little more about setting up the webmaster tool on your WordPress site?
It's actually pretty easy. If you have Google Analytics implemented, you tell Google Webmaster Tools, this is my new website, and you click verify. And then it usually wants you to also plug in Google's code somewhere. You say, no, I want to use a different way. And there you have the choice of using Google Analytics. So what you already have done with Google Analytics will be used in Webmaster Tool, and it's done.
Oh, okay, great. That's a terrific tip.
Maybe one of these days when I'm not quite as packed with work, I'm just going to write a blog post and give you guys some screenshots. Once you have done it once, it is really simple. It just makes it sound so over the edge, and like even beginner really can follow the steps, and it makes it way easier than trying to follow Google's authorship line up how you're supposed to do it.
Okay, that's great. And then after the show, maybe you can put in a link to the Yoast SEO tools as well.
You bet. And by the way, Yoast is written just like toast with a Y in the beginning. I don't know how they came up with that name, but
yeah, I know. And spelling with the J and the pronunciation, but it's true. And I just want to remind everyone that we are talking about your own hosted site, WordPress site, and not the WordPress.com site.
Yeah,
So
that's a
this
really
is
good.
all going to work if you have your hosted site and you're going through WordPress.org. So I don't want anybody who's on WordPress.com to try and make this all work, and it's not going to work because WordPress has total control of that site. You just plug in and write, but that's about it.
And we had enough shows, past shows, that explain why you might want to consider hosting your own WordPress site. So I will not go too far into that.
Yes we have we've had several actually. Very important to have that control. It is your place in the internet world is your website, and you want that control, and you want to keep it clean and keep it live.
And you have way more control on your self-hosted site. So things like connecting to Google and all of these little tweaks that you would like to do are way easier and way more possible on a self-hosted WordPress site than on the WordPress hosted site. And by the way, David Henry just posted the link for the Yoast plugin.
Oh,
Actually,
thank you, David Henry Pup. Thank you very much.
he posted the link to the website because Yoast is not just giving you that SEO plugin. They have many more great plugins, and they're giving you a lot of information of how Google would like your website to be. So with Google being one of the biggest search engines, you always want to keep an eye on what they're doing and what they're changing, because you want to be found. You want to show up. That's one of the reasons why we want to connect our WordPress website with Google+. Google is the main search. You want to play along with their rules, which they have the right to make, and to be found. And people don't just always find you through your social profiles, but connecting all of this and giving Google more information and easier information to digest will help you show up better in the searches, which then helps people find you easier, which gives you more viewers on your site, and that's our end goal.
That's exactly how it is. And then we have a question from Ursula Streit. Ursula says, "What if I use the Genesis framework?"
That is a good question. I am just starting to scratch on Genesis, honestly, because just how my business is built. I'm setting up the website often enough and handing it over to the client. And for them, the easiest way possible to update everything and to work with the website is the straight up WordPress installation. As much as I know about Genesis, it should not be a problem. Yoast is also available as a plugin on that framework, and it should work exactly the same way.
Okay, that's really good. And then we're talking about Google and how they make changes and how they're tweaking things all the time and how you want to be able to keep up to date with that on your website. And I think that something that's very important that Google is really paying attention to right now is how your website shows up on various mobile devices such as phones and tablets and readers and the like. And I was watching an HOA this morning, and they said that Google had set up for the engineers, they had set up illustrations of 42 different styles of screens. So one of the things you want to look into is how your web I can't talk today how your WordPress site fits in and shows up on various key mobile devices. You don't have to shoot for all 42, but am I right? Am I right, Evon, that is a consideration right now?
That is a big consideration. With everything going social, everything going mobile, and mobile phones having such a wide range of screens, then moving into a tablet, then moving into a screen. In the green room, you were just wondering why I was looking up there. I have 3 screens in different sizes. So Google wants the viewer, the visitor of your website, to have the best experience possible. That means your site needs to load fast, no broken things in there, no flash. iPhones cannot open flash. It can't run on there, so you don't want to have flash. A lot of things, especially what we are talking about over with Susan Finch and Geek Speak Guides, is responsive now. So what that does is when you look at a website and they have 3 content boxes where there's Zara's blog posts and she might offer a service and then a pricing, so you have 3 of these content boxes on a regular screen, they will show right next to each other. On a mobile phone, you don't have that room because the font is going to be like that tiny and nobody can read it. Though if you are using a responsive WordPress theme, it's going to take these boxes, put them underneath each other, and suddenly you have a nice font and you can read everything. There are tools out there to see how your website looks on different devices. So you don't have to go as far as Google went and got 42 different screen sizes. I know Susan Finch is in the audience. She uses, and I forgot the name, I think Pad Pixel or something. If Susan could share the link, it is an online tool that allows you to put in your website and then change between an iPhone or an iPad or a different tablet or a small computer screen, a big computer screen, and just see what your site does on which screen.
That's great. And Susan, if you could put in the link to that, that would be really great for our audience. But Susan also has a question. So her question is, are there any plugins to integrate Google Plus public posts with WordPress pinned posts? I know there is one for YouTube that if you favorite, you can create a pending post in WordPress. Any thoughts?
Seems like Susan just threw me under the bus. If I understand this, I know you easily can embed Google Plus posts on your WordPress. There are a lot of how-tos out there how to do that. It's literally hidden behind your post to embed that. Trying to completely understand what she is trying to figure out in a pending post. Period you can create. I think what she's talking about an automation there, and I have to admit, I do not know. I know there is.
Okay. And then on the other side of that, I had a question, and that is about like plugins on your WordPress site, like NextScript Snap, that will automatically post to your Google Plus either profile or page. And
yes, and in combination with Susan's question, I think where she's going with that, there is also a third-party plugin out there that allows you to do a whole bunch of things, which is called if this, then that.
yes.
And you literally build recipes. So if you like something there, it automatically puts it over there and waits for you to do something with it. Or, for example, what I have a recipe running, if I check into my food spotting, it automatically adds it to my calendar so I know in 20 years where I have been yesterday. There's a whole bunch of things that you can automate right there and make these things happen.
Yes, there's also another service called Zapier that does a very similar process for people as well. So you can set up your own, if this happens, then automatically do this.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if this happens and I have another, you know, episode and I have my podcast, you know, send it over here so it'll be in the stream. So and you can do that off of, your WordPress site.
Yeah, and you can do a lot with your RSS feed off of your website. Just because new posts and all of that go straight up into your RSS feed, and you can take this string of little messages that don't really make sense to us, it doesn't look fancy, but programs know what to do with it, and they can extract certain information and then do with it whatever you tell it to do.
Okay, and then Lee Rickler has, following up on Susan's questions, he says, not 100% sure what Susan Finch means, but the easiest way to cross-post from Google Plus to WordPress is to use IFTTT with the link. So the link is in the comment section. Thanks, Lee. Thanks very much. We're getting lots of support for getting things set up. Thank you, audience. I love the Zapster audience. You guys are so interactive and help everybody. It's just thank you so much. Thank you.
And you were talking about next. I don't have there's my link right there. Next Scripts, they have the Snap plugin to auto post. I like to have bigger control about how my post looks like, but for somebody to begin with, and it's easy to lose sight of, you need to post it there, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. A lot of people in the beginning don't have a publishing calendar, so where you literally just make yourself a list and say, okay, I got to share it there, and I got to share it there, and I got to share it there. It does a great job on sharing it to multiple platforms. Again, me personally, I like to have more control of that.
Yes, it sends things to the platform, but they aren't very engaging when you look at it. It's so, if someone goes from that post to your actual blog post, they may see any visuals that you have there and graphics and all those sort of things. But what it does when it actually posts is it says title of blog post and a link. I mean, it's not very engaging.
And you got to check them. Even with IFT, I'm using a lot of IFT recipes, especially because I am not busy on Facebook anymore at all.
Yeah.
You got to check them. If you set these up, run a test. Which information are they taking out of your post, and which information is going to get forwarded? Make sure there are not blanks in there or some standards like your post title here. You don't want that to happen because you just look fake then. You don't look efficient. So make sure that these recipes also are running right.
Okay, and then Susan, just to update, Susan Finch has posted the link for the YouTube plugins. For those of you in the comment section, https://wordpress.org/plugins.ifttt-post. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to set that up for your YouTube, you can. So thanks very much, Susan.
And Ursula Stride just mentioned.
Yes, what is the other way round? If I link a post to Google, the picture is always small. If I do it with Blogger, I see a big picture.
So that has to do with your featured image on your WordPress website. So if you are not using featured image on your theme, when you are writing a post, on the bottom right is your featured image. So Google likes pictures nice and big because they want the full resolution. I'm not using Blogger much, but I am guessing that the picture on Blogger is provided bigger than it is in your WordPress website. So if Google gets a link and the picture is that size, they can't blow it up because you're going to look completely pixelated and it's just going to look bad. So just play around with different sizing of your images, or even just post it yourself. Use a big image in your post when you post it on Google+. Post it by hand. Use a big image and add the link to it in the text itself instead of using the link. Did that just make sense?
And maybe you could just explain a little further what the publishing calendar is, because it kind of flew by while you were talking, and I think it's a very useful tool for everyone, especially when you're not doing all this automated blank spreading of your blank posts that don't have any visual appeal and aren't engaging.
So I actually watched Google Plus Spotlight this morning, and the question came up with doing Hangouts Live if you should have a calendar. And there's one straight answer: yes. The more on time you are, so not just once a month on Monday, if you can do a show every Monday at 10, like we do, people will remember every Monday at 10. Like when we went to school, we know exactly when we came home from school, that show was on. There is something to a regularity. So you also want to have a regularity to your posts. You don't want to post one day and not post at all for 3 weeks. So there are multiple ways of setting up a publishing calendar. There is something just like a checklist, what I have right here, from HeroX actually. It's a social media checklist, which allows you to really just check up, okay, I have a new post. That means I have to post it over to Facebook, I have to get it over to Twitter, I have to get it into Reddit, and you just check it off. Great for beginners. Though when you are stepping up your game and you really want to grow your site, probably grow your business, you want to have an actual schedule. So I'm still, no matter how nerdy online I am, I'm still a pen and paper kind of girl. A week layout or a month layout, whatever is easier to digest for you. And on Monday, I'm doing my blog post. And on Thursday, I have my HOA, which means on Friday, I have to publish the follow-up blog post for the HOA on Thursday. And then just to generate some traffic again, next Monday morning, I want to post a Twitter post about that blog post about the HOA on Thursday to get that out again. And thanks God I have Susan Finch in my corner, because she is amazing on figuring out how to reuse your content and how to keep people engaged. We are not just doing a blog post to put it there and nobody sees it, or HOAs for that matter too. Right. You, especially when you have evergreen content that doesn't get out of time, that's always valid, you want to keep driving traffic there. So you want to mention it on Google Plus, and you want to mention it on Facebook, and you want to re-mention it in a month on Google Plus again. Just things like that. And a publishing calendar is literally just that. You decide for yourself, when do you want to post what, when do you repost one, when do you want to repost something, and you literally just put it on a piece of paper for you to stay on track and to remember it and not get too sidetracked from these great posts that are happening all around you.
I just Mark Seidel had the follow-up about the feature image. He says, I always make my featured image 900 by 600 pixels. So exactly. that's a good guideline for everyone on what. And I know on WordPress, if you haven't looked all the way down on the page of your post, you can set your featured image way down there on the bottom right. It will ask.
And I have Susan here. She's like, amen, regularity. I'm not great on this. Thank you for the kick in the keister. And I am guilty of this too. With people like Mark, Susan, or me, where we are working in that environment, clients come first. So we will have this regularity for our clients, but we're probably going to fall short on our own just because we are running out of time or just need an hour off the computer. So I'm a plumber with the bad pipes too. I'm guilty of this one too.
But I think that's true for everyone. That most of the people who come to an HOA to learn about marketing and using Google Plus and integrating things, they're doing it from a business perspective, and of course your clients come first. I know one of the things that I try to do, because I have my schedule, Monday this, Tuesday that, is that if it's a big day, it's a big day. It's a big day. So that the regular things get pushed back because there's work to do. I try to do as much of those regular things on the same day as possible. And that's why it's so great to have a list. Because when something comes in and just throws a spammer in the works, you want to be able to recover yourself and get on with your business and get on with your schedule. Because people do get used to schedules, and so they sort of start expecting these certain things to happen on certain days, and so it's really easy to get behind. So you kind of want to get your publishing schedule really up there in your head, I think, about, oh my gosh, this happened and that happened, but I've still got to do these things that I normally do. And if you do HOAs, you're notifying people ahead of time and sending invitations and also sharing it out on Google and other places. So it is a lot of work. We're kind of wandering away from Google Plus and WordPress.
That's just how it goes. We have just a little bit left. We had a question right at the beginning when you set up the event from Preston Oudenbrad,
yes,
who is having a little bit of trouble getting his YouTube videos to show up, and also was wondering about resizing YouTube videos on your WordPress website. There are multiple possibilities why they don't show up right. So I hope he's going to post the issue over on Geek Speak Guides in our community, because that's going to take too long for your show, Zara. But the easiest way to secure embed your YouTube videos instead of just using the share link, use the embed code. That's also where you can change the sizing of your images. Just make sure when you take that script, all of those fancy letters and whatever they all do, go over to your WordPress website and change on top from working in visual to working in text. So right on top, you have your little box where you write all of your great posts in there. On the top right, you have two tabs switching between visual and text. You have to be in text to do the YouTube embed.
The text and that can, if you haven't been around that text page before, it takes a little getting used to, because there is some coding in there. So you have to find the place on that text page where you want to embed that YouTube embed code. But it usually does work. If you just go down and you say, here's the video, I'm just going to be simple. As soon as you find those words, here the video, then on the text page you can put in your embed code, and then do not freak out. This is where I think some people freak out. You go back to your visual page, and there's a big kind of grayish, yellowish box thing there, and it looks like your video isn't there. And you're going, I put in the embed code, and why isn't it working? But there's one more step for you to double check, because up above on the top of the page, sort of toward the left, it says view post, something like that, and preview post, I think. And that will bring up a sample of what your WordPress page would look like were it published. And at that point, you can see the video. So there's a couple of steps. But but you have to make sure that you go over to the text. If you add that embed code in the, what is it called?
The text editor?
No, the other one. There's two, the visual. If you add the embed code on the visual part, it won't work. You do have to switch on those tabs up on the right from visual to text and then add it in the text. And then just to double check, make sure you go and preview the page before you post it. But normally there isn't a lot of trouble getting those YouTube videos embedded.
And it could be as simple as updating your WordPress.
Yes, that's updating your WordPress, updating your theme, updating your plugins, because they all work together.
And just for the fun of it, back it up before you do that.
Oh, I think I've heard that somewhere else. Yes, absolutely back it up, especially when you do updates. I'm looking to see if we have, let's see, Lee Rickler has also for Preston, use the YouTube share link copy, paste in the post, Google WordPress embed. Whoops. Also look at responsive video WordPress plugin. Okay, so there's another way to do it. Thanks, Lee. Yeah. Thanks very much.
There are a lot of plugins that allow you to manipulate YouTube links. I try to stay away from it just because the more plugins I have, the slower my website is, the less Google likes me, the less I show up.
That's true. So you want to do a balance of, you know, what makes it easy and slick with plugins and what slows down your site so that Google has to work hard, and Google doesn't want to work hard because it has many, many, many places to go. There was something else I wanted to say. So I actually really just, you know, take the YouTube, take the embed code, and put it in on the text page of your WordPress site, and I have personally never had any trouble with that.
Yes, me neither. I have more trouble embedding YouTube videos through a plugin than straight up through the link. And again, it has become way easier with WordPress updates, so it might be as simple for him to just update your WordPress. I would check the version number you're running right now. I think right now WordPress is running at 3.91.
I think it's 1. Yeah, I think it's 1.
Too many numbers to remember.
Yeah. But, you know, when you go, every time you open up your WordPress site, you'll get those little circles that tell you right up at the top how many updates you have. And then down on the left-hand side, if you have plugins that you need to update, those will show up there as well. So your required updates will show up 2 different places. And it really is important to update. And Nazim is here. Nazim, hi, thanks for being here. And Nazim says, great tip, always back it up prior to WordPress updates. Yes, you don't want to lose anything before it goes. Thanks, Nazim. Okay, I think we're running short on our time. So, Evie, you have any last words of wisdom you want to share about connecting all these things together?
I think we covered it pretty much. As long as, again, set up your Yoast, get your Google Plus link in there, set your analytics up, which helps you with a lot of other things too. Link it in your webmaster tools, give it 5 minutes, and go verify it over on your Google Plus page. It's really becoming that simple. Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Evie. That's been very helpful. I know I had questions and kind of foggy areas, and you've been really helpful for me, and I'm sure you've been helpful for the rest of our audience, especially from the comments that we've had. And this has been the Midweek Zap, and our guest has been Evon Hyman. Next week, we have Stephanie Sims, and she's going to be talking about the things business people don't like to think about, and that is managing your business finances. So she
she just has a great way of getting people to think about money and think about their finances. So I encourage you all, everyone. I used to be a financial advisor for individuals, not businesses, and she really has a lot of good things to think about. So she'll be here next week. So, Evie, let's say goodbye to everyone, and thank you, audience, for joining right in and helping. Thanks a lot. Bye,
Bye, everyone.
everyone.
Have a great